Thank you very much. Welcome to the session. As Attila said, I am Tom Poole, and I am the director of both the Audio Developer Conference and the JUCE framework. And it's my absolute pleasure to be here to quickly introduce the new JUCE audio plugin development course. The JUCE's main motivation when we do any of our work is that we are building a tool that empowers other people to create the software that they want. And these people range very drastically in what they do. We serve, our customers are individuals and hobbyists, ranging all the way up to some of the biggest companies in the world. But nowhere is the impact that we make greater than when people are just starting out with JUCE on the start of their software development journey. So we have been working with Jan to create a comprehensive course that will let you go from just starting out using JUCE to creating a fully functional audio plugin. This course is open to anyone, and it is completely free. It's completely free for people who want to learn JUCE, but it's also completely free for people who want to teach JUCE too. We want to make it really easy for universities, schools, or any other kind of educator to teach JUCE. So if you are an educator, if you are just someone within a company that has a team that is using JUCE, or you just want to distribute these teaching materials amongst your friends or your colleagues or anywhere else, please get in touch and we will work with you to help that happen. So without further ado, I will leave you in Jan's very capable hands to go through much more of the details. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom, for the introduction, and hi everyone. Oh, it works. My name is Jan Vilchek, and I'm a freelance audio developer and teacher. I'm also the founder of thewolfsong.com blog and YouTube channel, that's where I've been posting audio programming tutorials for some time that people have found useful enough to mention them in the 2025 JUCE user survey, which is cool. I'm also the host of the Wolf Talk podcast, where I interview developers and researchers from the audio industry. So watch out, because you never know when I may ask you for an interview. Also, since 2024, I've been in charge of developing JUCE's YouTube channel. I'm also an author of online courses on audio programming, but more on this later. And I've been a JUCE user since 2018, and I continue to use it and recommend it to all of my students as the best tool to working with and creating audio plugins and, frankly, learning audio programming. So the main point of this talk is that the official JUCE audio plugin development online course is open for everyone for free. From this talk, you will learn what it is, why do we need it, how you, your company, or your university can benefit from it, and also we'll explore if working on the course somehow changed the future direction that the JUCE is going. So first start with a show of hands. Who here knows JUCE programming somewhat? Okay, I see the majority. And who here is a self-taught JUCE developer? Okay, and this is actually consistent with the results of the JUCE user survey. Most of the people, or maybe the other way around, only a minority reported going through a structured program. So for all these people that raise their hands, just please let's ask ourselves, like, was the learning smooth, or was it rather, a bumpy road? And that we made some mistakes that we would like now to avoid. So let's do one more round, and please raise your hand if you have ever lived through one of the following scenarios. Your plugin glitches. Okay. You get an assertion failure message in the console. Okay. And the next one is you send the plugin to your friend and it immediately crashes on their machine. Okay. And the last one is you have been testing your plugin for hours and hours in a DAW just to find out that it was an old plugin version all along. Okay. And the last, I won't torture you anymore. The last question is the JUCE slider parameter attachment class real-time safe? Raise your hand if you think it's real-time safe. Okay. Good for you then. But you'll get the answer in the course anyway. Okay, so some of the things that we've mentioned, are really confusing to beginners. To them, they are kind of the unknown unknowns. So they don't know that it's a problem before they stumble upon it. And all of our answers kind of point to the fact that we need a more holistic approach to learning and teaching JUCE. And that's what this course is all about. It's a structured, coherent, convenient learning resource that should help us, avoid the frustration of doing the beginner mistakes. But to illustrate even further why we need an online course for JUCE, let me tell you a quick story. So as I said, I'm a teacher, and my students share a few traits in common. And to kind of show you what I mean, let me introduce you to Charlie, my archetypal student. Well, Charlie is a sound engineer, and he specializes in mixing audiobooks. And he has had, a reasonable success with his business, which allows for a steady stream of incoming gigs. And he could optimize his workflow if he could take, his custom approach to compression and wrap it in an audio plugin. The thing is that he doesn't know how to create an audio plugin, so he naturally needs to learn it. But his time is quite constrained. So he works on a daily business. He needs to mix the audiobooks. But apart from it, he also has a family that he needs to look after, which leaves him only early mornings or late evenings to study. At the same time, ironically, learning audio plugin development is not easy. It's quite difficult and it's confusing. Plugin development is something that spans many subject fields. And so where do you even start? The resources are out there, but they're not organized in a streamlined flow that you can follow. You may find, the answers, but you don't even know which questions to ask. So in such situations, it's always easiest to have someone guide you. I'm sure you've experienced this if you have a nice colleague at work. So Charlie came to me and asked, how can I create my own audio plugins? And I gave him my best answer, which I'm going to share with you now. And I think that in simple terms, we can think of audio plugin development as standing on 3 pillars. And the first one is digital signal processing, DSP. This is a theory of how digital sound works, how to process it, how to generate it, how to analyze it, and how to apply effects onto it, like flanger, distortion, filters, reverb, etc. DSP is theory. It doesn't care if you do your processing in hardware or in software, if you do it offline or real-time, such as in the plugin. It doesn't care if you write it in Python or Rust. DSP designs can be done with such simple tools as a pen and paper. But pen and paper can only get you so far. After all, paper doesn't produce sound. So at some point, you're gonna need to implement the effect in some programming language. And this is the second pillar of audio plugin development. Taking this DSP design and implementing it somehow. And as of 2025, to build audio plugins, you really need to be able to write, read, understand, and compile C++ code. Yes, there are alternative emerging but C++ is still prevalent by a large margin. And this pillar also comprises the art of programming, right? How software works, and in particular, the syntax of C++. And with DSP and C++ in place, you can write awesome audio effects. But if you want to use your audio effect in a digital audio workstation, you need to wrap it in a plugin format. And to somehow facilitate, wrapping C++ code in a plugin format that you can interface with in a DAW, people like to use plugin frameworks. And there are many options, maybe not many, there are a few options available, but the most widely used one is JUCE. And that's exactly where JUCE enters the stage. Not only it allows you to interface with all the plugin formats, but it also allows you to easily create a beautiful graphical user interface that works cross-platform, on Windows, macOS, and Linux. Great. We have our 3 pillars of audio plugin development. And now consider Charlie, someone who has never learned this stuff at a university. How can he get, up to speed on all 3 of them without dedicating large financial resources and a few years of his time for going back to university, if he is lucky enough that there's a university that teaches all 3? So to kind of help such people on the journey, in 2023, I published an online course on digital signal processing called DSP Pro. It teaches you the basics of digital audio and is directed mainly toward beginners and also people who want to make audio plugins. So going through the course allowed Charlie to get up to speed on the DSP concepts, saving in the meantime a lot of money spent on books and time spent on looking for the information on the web, and allowed him to get the idea for his DSP, for his plugin, in place. But he's still not able to put it in a plugin because the DSP Pro course, it doesn't teach you plugin development. And actually, that was the most common feedback I got was, this is cool stuff, but how can I package this in a plugin? And so now we're happy to announce that finally another pillar of audio plugin development is covered with the official JUCE audio plugin development course. So what can you expect from the course? As you remember, Charlie has some idea for DSP in place that he wants to implement, but he would also like to create a decent UI and maybe in the future share the plugin with his friends, and who knows, maybe even later monetize it. So how does the course help him toward this goal? Well, first of all, the course teaches you how to create a plugin from scratch. And to this end, we give the students one plugin, an example of Tremolo, but in 2 versions. One is a complete, fully featured plugin. You get the source code, you can go through it, you can read it, great. But the other version that you get is like a cold skeleton. It's a completely stripped down version. And your task throughout this course, as you're learning, you'll bring this to-do plugin closer and closer to the complete state. What is more, we encourage students to create yet another plugin alongside the course so that they can maximize their learning and they can apply this knowledge exactly to what they want to achieve. Okay, great. So Charlie is convinced that he should go through this course. What does he need to get started? Well, first of all, he needs to install some prerequisites regardless of the operating system he's using. He needs to be able to compile C++ code. And then he also needs to learn the various audio plugin formats, why we need plugin formats, and how they interact with the digital audio workstation. And please take note that this slide does not even mention JUCE at all. That's because we're not just teaching JUCE, which is an important part of the course, but we're also teaching audio plugin development in general. Okay, this gets covered in modules 1 and 2 of the course. Now, what's the tool that will allow Charlie to create a plugin that works on all 3 platforms that he wants to support and, is easily exported to the plugin formats? Well, the answer is JUCE. That's where JUCE enters the picture. And the course explains what is JUCE and why we need the JUCE C++ framework. Great. Charlie knows what is JUCE, why he needs it. He can compile a C++ project. Now, how does he start with a plugin project? As I said, you get a code skeleton. You get a ready-made structure that you can start working on right away. And that is because there are many great plugin templates on GitHub, but we wanted to provide something that's very, very minimal yet meaningful so that you can get started with the cool stuff right away and don't have to waste time on the unnecessary setup. With this in place, Charlie can go about implementing his DSP. But before that, he needs to understand that an offline DSP is different from what runs in a real-time audio plugin. And so he learns the basics of real-time audio programming and how to make sure that his plugin is real-time safe. He also learns that he can quickly implement the DSP he has in mind using JUCE's DSP classes, and all that in Module 3 of the course. Well, having DSPs in place is nice, but now Charlie would like to control this in real time. After all, he uses plugins every day, and he's accustomed to turning knobs and using sliders and listening to the result, right? So how can he enable this kind of real-time control in his plugin? And that's when plugin parameters come into play. In Module 4 of the course, you learn what are plugin parameters, how do they work, what are their applications, their quirks, and of course, how to implement them in JUCE. On top of this, you get the benefit of the auto-generated user interfaces in some DAWs, and also automation, preset saving, and managing the state of your plugin on saving a project. But this isn't very nice. And Charlie, if he wants to sell the plugin, he probably wants to create a neat-looking UI, like all of the plugins he uses every day. And Module 5 of the course teaches you exactly this. You learn the basics of JUCE component system and how to create UIs with JUCE, and above all, how to interact from the UI thread to the audio thread. So at this point, you get quite rounded out plugin, but Charlie is not sure if he's done everything correctly. So how can he make sure that the plugin works as intended? Well, for this, we have plugin Diagnostics in Module 6. There you learn all the aspects of plugin correctness and the tools that can allow you to verify that your plugin works as you wanted it to. Additionally, Charlie learns how to run the plugin val tool from Traction to verify his plugin. All right, he's sure that the plugin works as intended. Now he would like to share it with his friends. And that's where Module 7 enters the picture. It teaches you everything that's related on plugin distribution, or maybe I should say it discusses everything that's related to plugin distribution. And bear in mind that it's a huge topic, so we don't get into details of creating installers or code signing intricacies on macOS. But nevertheless, the course teaches you how to share the plugin with a friend. And after completing the course, Charlie is ready to set out on a new adventure, but he needs to know where he can look for more information related to JUCE. And that's exactly what we do in Module 8. We show you where you can find more info if you need it to. So there you have it, from a complete beginner to a plugin developer that can create their own plugin and share it with others. Let's summarize. In total, the course consists of 8 modules, which amounts to 50 lessons, each with a coding assignment, a quiz, or a prompt. In addition, we have 16, which we call stretch assignments, which kind of push the boundary of what you know and understand related to JUCE so that you can accelerate your learning. None of this stuff was generated using any AI. All of this has been thoroughly reviewed and approved by the JUCE team, and all of this is available right now for free. So at this point, you may be wondering, what is it for you? Well, if you're just starting out, if you're a university student who wants to create their own project, if you're a musician, a music producer, a sound engineer who wants to create their own plugin, if you're a non-audio software developer, like a web developer, and you want to transition to audio plugin development, the course is obviously for you. It has been created with you in mind. It can allow you to learn the audio programming basics, and it can allow you to create your first plugin. But say, what if you are an audio developer, but you're not involved in JUCE? Well, the course, as I said, teaches audio plugin development in general. So you can solidify your knowledge of, let's say, plugin state management, parameter updates, real-time safety, diagnosing your plugin, and maintaining compatibility across plugin versions. And besides, wouldn't you like to learn JUCE to kind of raise your competitive advantage on the job market? Just a thing to consider. Managers and product owners can learn the process and problems of plugin development. At the same time, companies can use the course to train their employees. So if you would like to access the course materials to run an in-house training, then please feel free to reach out. Also, we're happy to take any feedback on the course because we want to make it as much accessible as possible. And the same goes for universities. Last year, I met a professor who was tasked with creating from scratch a JUCE course at his university. Right now, he can access the course materials, he can use it in his teaching, but also he can get up to speed with JUCE. And he doesn't have to, spend a lot of time on it. So if you want to create your own course on JUCE, or if you want to improve your course on JUCE, and you think that the materials that we provide will be helpful for this purpose, please don't hesitate to reach out. And if your students need to use JUCE in some coursework, well, why not use an official resource, right? And finally, again, if you have any feedback related to the course, and if your students find something that could be added to the course, we're also happy to help you. Well, but what if, as you all said, you are JUCE developers, right? So what's in it for you? Well, let me share with you some of the learnings that I had when working on the course. So the first one is that I learned that if you set the plugin version to 0, then it forces the DAW to rescan it. So with this, you should not run into this problem that you're testing an updated plugin version because the DAW must always update it. The next thing is that I learned that the JUCE component should either paint or have child components, but never do both of these things at the same time. That's the result of how the JUCE drawing system is set up. The next thing, I learned how easy it is to serialize your plugin state to a JSON file using JUCE's JSON features. And believe it or not, Ruben, the lead developer of JUCE, I was allowed to say this, also learned something. Namely, he learned that plugin val runs AUVal as part of its test suite on macOS. And finally, speaking of Ruben and the JUCE team, before giving this talk, I've asked them, has the course somehow influenced the future direction of JUCE? Well, they told me it's been actually quite eye-opening to see some of the stumbling blocks, like concrete stumbling blocks that beginners face. And they hope to address it in the future releases of JUCE. In particular, the upcoming support for sample-accurate parameters pose a possibility to simplify and streamline some of the API contracts surrounding parameter updates and threading. So look out for this. At this point in the talk, I would like to thank all the people listed on the slide, starting with the JUCE team who have been involved heavily in the course creation from day one. And I can tell you, the biggest thing that I learned from making this course is how awesome it is if you have a diligent and competent, detail-oriented reviewer that looks through everything you write, every lesson you create, and all the code you write. And that's thanks to Ruben, who really gave insightful advice, on everything, reviewed everything, and was patient enough to iterate with me on what we have. So thanks a lot. And the course would never be as good as it is without his insightful supervision. I would also like to give a shout out to all of the course beta testers who diligently reviewed everything that's already available online. So, how can you get started? Well, go to wolfsoundacademy.com/juice. The link is also in the QR code. Register and start learning. As we said, the course is completely for free. You can watch the video lessons. You can listen to audio-only versions offline. We have the MP3s there. Or you can supplement that with a PDF transcript. But passively consuming the content, of course, is not enough. That's why you should also do the quizzes, all the associated assignments, and above all, work on the provided plugin projects on a, of course, desktop operating system. And we provide the instructions on how to do this. Again, let me reiterate, if you want to access the course materials, use them in your teaching, extend them for your work, or you have feedback related to the course, please reach out to us. There's just a single but vital takeaway from this talk. The official JUCE audio plugin development course is out there, available for free. Again, the link is on the slide. And thank you for your attention.